Welcome into episode number 3 of 3 Up, 3 Down. I am your host, Rob Wong. What a weekend it was for the Toronto Blue Jays as they open up the year with a 3-game sweep of the Athletics down at Rogers Centre. Just an electric atmosphere all 3 games. I was lucky enough to be there on opening night, and to be honest with you, there was a little bit of whiff of sort of the World Series atmosphere with the amount of media that was in attendance for that game. You had national MLB writers there. You had the Japanese media, of course, covering Kazuma Okamoto's MLB debut, and the local Toronto media that was there as well. So it wasn't completely all the pomp and circumstance of the World Series. That was just absolutely bonkers, but it definitely felt like World Series light just a little bit. Because to be honest, in years past when the Blue Jays have had opening days after even successful seasons, there is not that type of attention heading into an opening day like we saw on Friday night. So with it being the 50th season and kicking things off there, you had the ALCS banner that was raised. There was so much going on, so much excitement, and a couple of walk-off wins to get things started too. So if you are someone out there that was a little hesitant to get back into Blue Jays baseball, you still are having trouble getting over the heartbreak of Game 7. Nothing like a couple of high blood pressure games to get things going to kick off the year. But 3 really strong games for the Blue Jays. The pitching was phenomenal. Of course, some big clutch hits by guys like Gimenez and Ernie Clement in the first 2 games. And then we finally saw the power that the Blue Jays can showcase in that 3rd game with the home runs from George Springer, Kazuma Okamoto, who we'll get into, and Jesus Sanchez. So here are my 3 takeaways from the first 3 games of the season. Got to kick things off with Kazuma Okamoto. Big Oak, big baby, large infant, whatever you want to call this guy. He is a ball player. Just a really strong showing in these first 3 games for Okamoto. You always wonder when guys come overseas, whether it's the NPB, whether it's the KBO, there's going to be an adjustment period. There's going to be an adjustment period to not only the baseball on the field, but just lifestyle and everything going on off the field. And, with all the pomp and circumstance that I mentioned that was going on opening night, you would have thought, man, this might be a challenge for this guy to be playing his first major league game in this atmosphere. But here he is coming out with a couple of big ABs as part of that game, scoring the game-winning run as well in his debut. Just a really cool moment for him. But he has come, I would say, as advertised, a guy who we had heard has the pop. We saw that in the series finale on Sunday, a guy that has a pretty good idea of the strike zone, has drawn a couple of walks, can put the bat on the ball when needed. And as far as the defense goes, kind of interesting because there were some reports that said, he's not particularly good at third base. He's, really strong at first, but third could be a challenge. And I don't think we've seen, much of that yet. He hasn't been challenged, of course, to an extent where we have a large sample size, but I would say so far so good. As long as he doesn't kill them at third, he's playable there. I think that's all the Blue Jays can need because he's definitely going to bring it on the other side of the plate. The one word that comes to my mind when I watch him play is just smooth. Like everything he does is smooth and so fundamentally sound. The swing is awesome, of course, but even the way he moves on defense in the infield, it doesn't look like a guy who's, struggling with his movements and athleticism out there. He, kind of knows how to attack the ground balls. He knows how to make a strong throw. The arm is really good. So, man, smooth is really the word that jumps to my mind. And you look over the years with the Blue Jays, there's been some big burly guys that have played third base. You, of course, think Vladdy a few years ago during his rookie year. You go back to a guy like Scott Rowland, and I'm not comparing Kazuma Okamoto to Scott Rowland, but just as sort of a bigger burly type of guy, and Troy Glass all those years ago. So Kazuma Okamoto does not look out of place. It's pretty clear that the teammates love him. We've seen the couple of Gatorade showers already from Vladdy and Miles Straw. The first one really caught Okamoto by surprise. You see the sort of the shock in his face, and of course, the shock of just getting drenched with ice cold Gatorade. I can't imagine that's a great feeling, but they've really, brought him in as part of the culture, as part of the clubhouse, and that's awesome to see. And the fans have really seen drawn to him as well. And how can you not be? He's been so good so far through these first 3 games. Another thing that has stood out to me, and actually was on opening night, the MLB debut patch that he wore in that first game, and I kind of forgot about it, to be honest with you, which is weird to say because, I'm a huge sports card and memorabilia fan, but that is going to go for some huge money. That is my prediction when it comes out in next year's Topps product. We saw a couple of years ago with Paul Skeens, of course, that went for huge money. We saw Nick Kurtz in this series. His MLB debut patch card went for a lot. So my prediction is that Okamoto's is going to go for a pretty penny as well. There are a ton of huge sports card collectors overseas in Japan. It is going to be a hot item when that comes out in 2027. The second thing that stood out for me in the series opener, Dylan Cease, who had a start for the ages, 12 strikeouts in his Blue Jays debut, setting a new mark, beating David Price's 11 strikeouts back in 2015. And to be honest, I haven't been this excited to watch a pitcher make his Jays debut probably since Price did it almost 11 years ago. There's been better starts statistically in Blue Jays history, not even just for debuts, but in general. But this had to be one of the more dominant, you're not touching anything that is coming out of my hand starts that I can think of, at least in recent memory. Just so many hilarious swings by the A's hitters. Guys are swinging at pitches in the other batter's box. Guys are swinging at pitches that are bouncing before they even get to the plate. The A's hitters just had no chance on this day against Dylan Cease. And we saw the full arsenal. A lot of talk about how coming into the season he was working on that changeup. He featured that. He featured the sinker, the sweeper, the slider, of course, which is plus. The fastball touching 100 miles an hour. And of course, he's going to flip a curveball in there every once in a while as well. So, man, it was just so impressive to watch a guy go out there and truly dominate a really good lineup. I mean, the A's were a top 10 offense in baseball last season. We saw what a guy like Shea Langoliers can do. I know Brent Rooker didn't have the best series, but he's an above average hitter. Nick Kurtz, of course, Tyler Soderstrom, who did get to Dylan Cease, even though it was a bloop double down the left field line. That was not an easy lineup to navigate, and Dylan Cease made them look like the Colorado Rockies, who we're going to see coming into Rogers Center starting tonight. But wow, just an unbelievable debut for a guy who could take the next step. And for those of you that know me, I'm a big wrestling fan. I was trying to think of a wrestling comp, and you let me know if I'm a little off base here. But I wonder if Dylan Cease is Chris Jericho, Attitude Era Chris Jericho, who previously was in WCW, Lionheart, Chris Jericho. He's winning the Cruiserweight title. He's the man of 1,004 holds. He's doing all this cool, fun stuff, but you're thinking like, okay, guy's got a lot of potential, but we'll see if he's able to live up to it. That, to me, is Dylan Cease, because Y2J eventually shows up in WWF at the time, has his promo with The Rock on Raw, and boom, just takes off like a rocket ship, and the rest is history. Maybe that's Dylan Cease. Maybe this is Chris Jericho showing up on Monday Night Raw, Chris Jericho becoming what we now know him to be today. That is Dylan Cease, now joining the Blue Jays, ready to take it to the next level and become a Cy Young level type pitcher. And I know it's just one start, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but boy, it's difficult not to when we saw the stuff that he was able to showcase in that start against the A's. And what's crazy is that after the game, he said he still felt like he was fine-tuning things. Okay, well, what is it going to look like when you finally put the pieces of the puzzle together? Because I think 99.9% of major league pitchers would take that outing, because it was truly remarkable, and it's going to be fun to watch him go out there every 5 days. And I feel like when we look back at this season at the end of the year, it's going to be one of the more memorable ones of Dylan Cease's career. How can we not talk about the dynamic duo up the middle infield right now of Andres Gimenez and Ernie Clement? Set aside that both guys had game-winning hits on Friday and Saturday, the level of ease and calm you feel anytime the ball gets hit up the middle of the infield, I don't think I have felt this way in maybe, 2021, maybe the last time when you had Bo Bichette and Marcus Semien up the middle. Semien was incredible that year playing second base. And, at least for his career, that was one of the better ones defensively for Bo Bichette. If you want to go further back, it's probably 2015 with Ryan Goins and Troy Tulowitzki. anything right now that's hit to either one of those guys, you feel incredibly confident that it's going to get caught and that you're going to get an out. I mean, we saw it in that second game there with Braden Fisher getting a double play ball, Andres Gimenez just making an incredible play, flipping it off to second, and then turning the double play was Ernie Clement to get him out of a big jam there late in the ball game. And it's just, you don't want to pick on Bo Bichette, but of course, when you look back at his Blue Jays career, he ultimately was not the greatest defender, and to see a guy like Andres Gimenez and the things that he can do, Bo Bichette or otherwise, not many guys are able to do what Andres Gimenez can do at that position defensively. And I think for both of these guys, they don't have to hit a ton. I know Ernie Clement set the postseason record for most hits in a playoff last year, and he became such a key member of the offense. And as I said, he's already got one game-winning hit, but realistically, you would love it. I don't think Ernie Clement needs to be a 110 WRC plus hitter for him and the Blue Jays to have success. I think Andres Gimenez as well, who's gotten off to a great start with the bat. We all remember a few years ago when he was with Cleveland and he had that remarkable year, and people thought, okay, maybe this guy does have a lot more in the tank offensively. Now, he hasn't been able to get back to those heights, but if he can get back to, the 2023 version of Andres Gimenez, where he was just slightly under league average, he was still worth almost 4 Fangraphs WAR. So I think that's what you're asking for from both of these guys when they're hitting, 7, 8, 9 in the lineup. Just have competitive at-bats, come up with the, occasional big hit, but you don't need to carry this offense. What we need you to do is carry the defense up the middle. And if they continue to do what they have done so far, you just feel incredibly confident about the success that this Blue Jays team can have, because that is going to be one of the more fun defenses to watch up the middle with both of those guys this season. All right, that'll do it for another episode of 3 Up, 3 Down. The Blue Jays getting set now for a date with the Colorado Rockies, who come into town for the first of 3 beginning tonight at Rogers Center. It'll be Cody Ponce making his Blue Jays debut, taking on Tomoyuki Sugano, who we remember a few years ago pitched for the Baltimore Orioles. Max Scherzer gets the start on Tuesday, and then it'll be Kevin Gausman getting the call on Wednesday. If you like what you hear on the pod, make sure to subscribe and follow. New episodes come out every Monday and Thursday as we talk about all things going on in Blue Jays land. You can follow us on Twitter at RobWong34. For my personal account, you can follow the account of the pod at 3_up_3_DWN. Make sure to rate and review the pod as well if you enjoy what you hear, and share it to your friends and family. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of 3 Up, 3 Down. I'm Rob Wong. We'll talk to you on Thursday.